Yeah, it's quite an interesting one because I entered the
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn scene in January 2024, and
Okay.
back then I remember people were talking about low reach, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been like an ongoing problem with
True.
LinkedIn since I
True.
started. Like reach is going
True.
down and down and down, and I think obviously it's in LinkedIn's best interest to downgrade organic reach to incentivize more people to opt for paid
Mm-hmm.
ads.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that's how they make more money of us. Like
So true. So true.
just charging $70 for Sales Navigator
Mm-hmm.
isn't enough versus like one company pouring thousands of dollars into ads, is it?
Exactly.
So it is very interesting, and I think the recent shift,
Mm-hmm.
which I've seen in my own reach, is dropped by like
Okay.
a third. I used to be hitting around 400,000 weekly impressions. Now
Okay.
I'm on like half of that, like 250,000 weekly impressions, which
That's a
is
drastic change.
yes, and this takes me back to July. Like I haven't seen this low reach since.
Yeah. So hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Experiences with Tanish. So I think this is a cliche dialogue, I would say, because I've been telling this to most of my guests, which is he or she is a special guest for me. But Charlie's like a really special guest, is what I would say, because I think he has touched around 50,000 followers, and I'm so glad to tell that Charlie is the first big creator that I am having on my show. Like thus far, I think the biggest creator I had was a guest named Sherry. I think she has a follower around like 25 to 30K followers, if I'm not wrong. So apart from that, Charlie's the biggest guest that I'm hosting today. I'm like so happy. And by the way, I've tried to get Charlie, I think way back in July or something, but I couldn't get him on show as he was held up with a lot of other work. So finally I get to meet him. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. How do you feel, Charlie, to be here?
Yeah, it's brilliant to be here. I didn't know that I'm the biggest creator to come on here, and I'm sure I won't be the last. So
I'm
yeah, it's great to be here.
yes.
Thank you for the invite, and I'm glad we could finally sit down and chat.
Exactly. And by the way, guys, today this is going to be completely based on LinkedIn and AI. So we're going to be, augmenting both LinkedIn and AI, like how to get your LinkedIn, get going, grow your LinkedIn just using AI, like other workflows, what Charlie is going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to dive like deep into this. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, Charlie. So before we getting deep into AI, like I want to get started with the current landscape of LinkedIn, because
Mm.
again, one we had like video. Obviously we are going to talk about video, how it's going to play out in next question. But now again, like I said, like algorithm, I think it kind of changes because of the video. And second is like a lot of AI content being written instead of humans, right? So even that the volume is like much more higher than you had like previously, right? So even that plays a part, right? So like on the whole, like how do you think is the current landscape of LinkedIn look like?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one because I entered the
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn scene in January 2024, and
Okay.
back then I remember people were talking about low reach, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been like an ongoing problem with
True.
LinkedIn since I
True.
started. Like reach is going
True.
down and down and down, and I think obviously it's in LinkedIn's best interest to downgrade organic reach to incentivize more people to opt for paid
Mm-hmm.
ads.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that's how they make more money of us. Like
So true. So true.
just charging $70 for Sales Navigator
Mm-hmm.
isn't enough versus like one company pouring thousands of dollars into ads, is it?
Exactly.
So it is very interesting, and I think the recent
Mm.
shift,
Mm-hmm.
which I've seen in my own reach, is dropped by
Okay.
like a third. I used to be hitting around 400,000 weekly impressions. Now
Okay.
I'm on like half of that, like 250,000 weekly impressions, which
That's a
is
drastic change.
yes, and this takes me back to July. Like I haven't seen this low reach since for months. And obviously, like as you grow on LinkedIn, anticipate your reach to grow with your following,
True. Very
which
true.
which doesn't seem the case. And I'm putting the reason behind it is down to the video feed because that's cannibalizing a lot of the reach I would have otherwise got from my static posts. Because
Okay.
those of you who don't know, I post infographics
I
and
mean, yeah,
carousels.
exactly. Like I would say you spend a lot more time on designing and the carousel part, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yeah. I mean, up until a few months ago, it was just me doing the entire thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I spent a lot of time designing,
True.
and I loved it. Like carousels used to rule LinkedIn. We used to see carousels with like 100 pages long, That's when I
Okay.
first started. It was like the norm to have that. And if anything, those types of carousels did the best because
Mm-hmm.
the viewer would stay on the post for longer, which then ramped up the dwell time, which is a sign we can send to their algorithm that it's a valuable
True.
post.
Understood.
So I've recently started embracing video because
Mm-hmm.
I have to. Like
I mean,
it's
that's the way to go.
yes, like there's no choice.
Yeah.
Like static is it's just way more interactive video. And when I
Mm-hmm.
first started out with video, I would never got above 10k impressions on a post. It was very, very hard to stand out. And I think the reason behind
Okay.
it was one, I was inexperienced with video. I wasn't very confident when I was speaking to the video, and
Mm-hmm.
the subject matter wasn't that interesting, like in
Okay.
hindsight. So I pivoted and I started posting more videos like of how to workflows, which is very much my style. Like every post I put out there is like how to do this, how I do that.
Right. Understood.
And since I started doing that and playing into my strengths and
Mm-hmm.
my specific brand,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a massive uptake in video impressions. Like it's
Okay.
I'm hitting like 40k, 50k
Mm-hmm.
on a video now, which is way better, and it's even doing better than some of my static posts. So it's yeah, the recent drop in reach is definitely down to the video, and we all just have to invest in that skill set.
Okay. So are you gonna be like primarily saying the fact number one primary factor could be a video, and maybe second one is the ad part, right? Which is the advertising part, right?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to like pinpoint it exactly, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
there is potentially saturation. Like more and
Okay.
more creators are entering the scene, therefore
True.
we're fighting for more attention. So I
Very
think
true.
that could be
Very true.
a third factor potentially.
Okay. Got it. Understood. Sure. So I think, since you've brought up video, like since you're saying that majority of, again, like we cannot pinpoint, but since the
Mm,
most of the contribution goes to the video, like what do you want to say about the video on LinkedIn? Like, is it exactly like the shorts and the reels what we see on YouTube and
mm,
Instagram, or like is it
yeah.
like completely different? Like how are they planning out? Like, are you seeing any sort of results in your video that you've been producing so far? Like, what is it all about?
Yeah, so I started out with doing videos like more than 2 minutes long, and they didn't do that
Okay.
well because
Okay.
typically the viewer might lose attention, especially if it's not super engaging or groundbreaking the video.
Okay.
So recently I started posting videos under a minute long,
Mm-hmm.
and I find that they actually do a lot better because one, there's
Okay.
less fluff of me
Mm-hmm.
just talking about stuff that isn't
Very
engaging.
true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just straight to the value, like this is how I do it. And voila, like I've seen them doing a lot better than my 2 minute long videos. And
Okay.
also the other little hack that I started using for videos is adding a cover to the video. And I'll use Veed.io for this. And I just
Okay.
simply just put like how to create a content calendar with GPT-4o. And then I'll add that as the thumbnail for the video.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
And adding that thumbnail is a game changer. Like I just take a
Wow.
screenshot of the
Okay.
title on the video, but you could
Mm-hmm.
graphically design a special thumbnail
Mm-hmm.
for your video, and that typically will act as a scroll stopper because that's the first thing a
That they
viewer
see.
will see. Yeah, exactly. So I think those are the two hacks that I found recently with video.
Okay. So the thing is like you've tried with a bit longer, which is like around 2 minutes, but
Mm.
that didn't work much well. Now that you're trying to keep it like under a minute, and that's kind of performing better, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and also doing very how-to style videos. I'd love to start doing more kind of
Okay.
like we're having right now, kind of just a discussion about something very broad because I'm speaking with other creators who are
Mm-hmm.
generating 1 million+ impressions on one video, which is like
Mind
mind
blowing.
mind blowing reach. Like
Very true.
I've I've generated, I think, nearly 7 million impressions this year, and if someone can generate that in one post, game changing.
Yes. And by the way, like like as I've been following you for a very long time, like I've seen your going on other podcast and you're talking with other creators and all,
Hmm.
right? So like what do you think that they are doing in terms of getting their videos to the next level? Is there any strategies or any framework that they use to get better views on their videos on LinkedIn?
On my personal videos.
I mean, like not specifically on your personal. Like
Hmm.
I've seen, like, I think recently you've had a collaborative talk with other like three creators, right? I couldn't exactly remember the name, but
Yeah.
they are all, into this. They are like all. I would say they have a very high number of followers, engagement, reach, and all those things, right? So like,
Hmm.
like after talking to them, is there anything that they are using specifically to get their views on LinkedIn? I mean, LinkedIn as a like video views. Are they using any sort of strategies, any framework?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite hard to pinpoint exactly because
Okay.
I think, yeah, the video that you're referring to when I do them in like a group with a couple
Wait,
other people,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
they never do well. I think it's just a bit of fun to like shoot content with friends and fellow creators.
Okay.
But like specific hacks, the only one that I've heard and seen from my fellow creators is just keeping it a very broad topic. For example, if you talk about burnout or something that's applicable to the entirety of
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
versus like a specific AI workflow that only marketers might find interesting. Those are the videos that are generating like 1 million plus impressions because it has such a broad appeal.
Okay. So it's like we have to try to be as broad as possible, speaking to as much more volume audience, right? If that's the way to put it.
Yeah, which kind of goes against what many people say on LinkedIn is that you should only speak to that one person.
One person.
But I think it's dependent on what you want. If you want virality and reach, then
Mm-hmm.
talk to a broad audience. If you want conversions and clients, then talk to that one person.
Understood. Got it. So I think, with that, I think I'm kind of good with this LinkedIn algorithm part. Now, coming back to the hot topic, AI. I mean,
Hmm.
that's been on everybody's feed, everybody's social media being bombarded with AI, right? And now,
Yeah.
like, since you're focusing more on AI and your services also is helping people grow their LinkedIn using AI framework and all
Hmm.
those things, right?
Hmm.
Now, before we getting into your actual framework and how are you helping your clients and all those things, I just wanted to ask you one straightforward question, which is like, do you think AI alone is enough for you to just grow on LinkedIn? That's I know because I've had this experience. I've seen few people who write content using ChatGPT or any other AI tool for that matter, and
Hmm.
people I can like literally see that it's been written using AI. I don't kind of see the human touch in it. I don't see the
Hmm.
authenticity in it. So this is like my personal experience. Okay, like I'm not trying to criticize anybody, but this is the personal experience that I've seen. Now that I've seen a lot of creators like you who are leveraging AI, and but I don't see that in your personal because your posts have been getting a good reach and engagement, all those things. So obviously there might be a human touch to it, right? So how does it all play out? Is just AI enough? Can everybody just go to ChatGPT, you know, bring out some content and put it on LinkedIn and hope that they can grow on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can try, but I don't think you'll build an engaged audience this way.
Hmm.
Like you see on
Okay.
LinkedIn all the time, there's creators with 100K plus audiences, but then their engagement and reach is next to
Nowhere.
none. Yeah,
Exactly.
like they've either growth hacked and used like aggressive, growth hacking to get to that point,
Hmm.
and no one wants that, to be honest. No one wants like a flimsy audience that isn't going to support you. Like we want real loyal fans, and to generate that, you need to be authentic. Like you can't use AI generated copy to kind of make people resonate with you and your
Hmm.
brand. You actually have
Hmm.
to speak from a place of vulnerability, personal experience, and yeah, just people don't like it when it's just robotic or perfect. So I find even like spelling mistakes, spelling errors, like they're actually kind of a good thing because then people
True.
know that you actually
Road.
wrote wrote it. So yeah, first draft always with AI. I mean, it does 80% of the writing for me, and then myself, the human, will just do the final formatting and final touches.
Okay, so yeah, so is that, as you said, like, it's not completely that we can depend on AI to just write the content and, get it to growing, right? It's that we have to do the final editing part, right?
Yeah. Of course, there's not one tool out there that can generate ready to go like everything. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many factors that go into a personal brand. Obviously, posts are one thing. Your profile is another. Like your general personality and the relationships that you build. Like those content is just one side part of it, which is very very important.
Mm-hmm.
But building relationships and being authentic will get you will help you win in the long run for sure.
Understood. Got it. Sure. Now, coming back to your specific LinkedIn AI framework, like, is there any sort of framework that you want to talk about that you use? So, say for example, like these are the tools that you use, and these are the again, like we cannot dive deep into the exact prompts and all those things that
Yeah.
that might go to another exact 1 hour video or something like that. But I just
Mm.
wanted to get an overall understanding of like how does your AI workflow look like for you to exactly use AI to write LinkedIn content and for like any other work. And I think most probably you're like preferring more on LinkedIn, right? Instead of like other platforms, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, LinkedIn is my main priority. It's the only social
Okay.
media platform that stuck for me. Like I tried a
Okay.
million times on like Instagram, Twitter. It just never worked. So yeah.
Understood. Yeah. So, okay. So in that case, like, what does your overall workflow look like? Like, what is it all about that you're using?
So I mean, recently with Perplexity Spaces that came out,
Mm-hmm.
they're like custom GPTs, but on
Yes.
Perplexity, which is awesome because then you can combine like personal information and insights about yourself, and combine it with the web search for real-time information, and
True.
it's nuts. It's so handy for client briefs. So I will ideate some content with clients or even for my own content.
Okay.
Once we've validated that content idea and the clients are happy for it to go ahead, I will
Mm-hmm.
just copy the post topic, go into Perplexity, my like Perplexity space, which I've
Okay.
uploaded with all of my client information, some like pre-validated content from
Okay.
other creators that works. So that therefore, like when I put in the simple content idea, Perplexity will provide me with like a very comprehensive brief that I can, make some final adjustments to, send it back to my client for approval. If they think it's good to go, then I hand that off to the design team and they will then bring it to life. I mean, that's the way I'm working now for the
Okay.
designing briefs. I mean, I used to do it all by myself, but now
Mm-hmm.
thanks to AI and outsourcing,
True.
it like happens a lot faster. And as for the briefing
Mm-hmm.
part of things, which I find a game changer, Perplexity for
Okay.
that. And once the brief is okayed and the design has been created, so now we have like everything we need in that design. So I'll take it, go over to ChatGPT and EasyGen, and upload the design to EasyGen. It'll provide me with a draft. Upload
Okay.
the design to ChatGPT and provide
Mm-hmm.
it with very simple prompt. It's like a 5-point prompt with
Okay.
just some like role setting at the top about me. It's like, you're a top AI marketing expert. You've grown
Understood.
to 23K and blah blah blah. Like all the context about me, and
Okay.
then that will like extract all the information from the
Mm-hmm.
post,
Mm-hmm.
and then EasyGen kind of excels at not copying what's on the post, but kind of extracting new insights and writing in a different style to my ChatGPT prompt. So then I'll use EasyGen as the canvas, put all the ChatGPT stuff in there, and just like combine the two outputs. And that's where like that final human touch comes in, because I have to merge the two for like optimal results. And I found that worked best for me. I used to spend like an hour, 2 hours creating LinkedIn posts. Now I can whip them up in like 10, 20 minutes.
Okay, understood. And
Mm.
I want to talk a bit about EasyGen, okay? Because
Yeah,
I've seen you and I've seen like other the founder of EasyGen as well. Like they've been endorsing a lot about EasyGen, right? Like I've seen not only you, I've seen like many creators endorsing EasyGen. So do you think really is it that helpful? Like, can you just tell me exactly where does it help you? Apart from like, say for example, even I can just use ChatGPT or Claude to write my own content, right? So like, what different does it make instead of using ChatGPT or Claude and EasyGen? Like, what is the actual difference, and why
sure.
should I opt for EasyGen?
Sure. I mean, with ChatGPT and Claude, is that it does a great job at extracting the information from the design. And also, it's very much dependent whether you like to write your post first or design your post first, because it's two different
Okay,
mindsets. I like to
okay,
design first and then use
hmm
AI to write, but some people prefer it the other way around. So this is
okay,
specifically for my workflow and designing first.
hmm
I find it super valuable for uploading the design.
hmm
Then EasyGen will like summarize the design for you and then create a completely new original output that I'm not even sure how you would go about generating with ChatGPT. It doesn't create that optimized LinkedIn post. It's
okay,
still kind of, unless you've got a very comprehensive prompt, which in my 10 plus months of being on LinkedIn, I haven't actually developed a prompt that can generate me the perfect LinkedIn post. The only other workaround would be to take a post of yours from previous
hmm
and then ask ChatGPT to copy the structure but not the information.
okay,
Then you can like translate raw information into a structured, optimized LinkedIn post. That's the only workaround that I found. But the issue being, unless you have tons and tons and tons of templates to play with, your
hmm
posts will always look the same. So EasyGen is great at just creating a first original draft that's like completely new and different from what you've written before. The only caveat with it is that it's $59 per month, so some people might view that as a little bit expensive, but it's dependent. It's dependent on like how you view it, because if you hire a ghostwriter, for example, that could be thousands of dollars per month. So
Exactly. And yeah,
yeah,
sure. And by the way, like, when you're saying this EasyGen, like what it does, so like when you're saying design, right? So that's the overview of the content that you're actually writing, right? So that's when you put it into EasyGen, and that gives you exactly the exact, format or the pattern, like rewritten, that is like optimized for LinkedIn, correct?
yeah, exactly. Obviously, like Ruben's fed it like God, God knows how much knowledge, but you also enter in personal information about you. So you enter in your content pillars, you enter in your writing style. So there is some kind of context provided about you before, and that's how it tailors it to your your brand.
Understood. And okay, so $59, like I said, it's it's quite an amount, right, for it to be paid like every month. So is this the only feature that they give you in EasyGen, or is there any other thing that we can also do with EasyGen?
Sure. So I mean, so the photo upload, then there's the voice prompting feature, and there's also a calendar which doesn't let you
Okay,
schedule, but you can save your LinkedIn posts
understood.
in there.
Got it.
And yeah, that's it for now. It's very light, but when you compare to a tool like Taplio, which has way too many features, like there's too much going on over there. Whereas like EasyGen is focused on doing one thing and one thing well, rather than jack of all trades, master of none. If you
Understood.
catch my
Got
drift.
it. Sure, sure. So that's what, because I've been having this doubt for a while, and like whichever the client whom I've interviewed thus far, right? I mean, like, whichever the guest that I've interviewed thus far, I don't see much people using EasyGen. It's not because they don't like it, but I think I just had like one client who's like specifically into LinkedIn, but I have like other people who are like more into AI automation SaaS. So like I didn't get to talk a lot about, like I didn't have the chance to talk a lot about EasyGen. So which is where I want to kind of dive deep, because I've been seeing a lot of people endorsing EasyGen. So I wanted to get an understanding of like, is it really worth the amount of spending into that specific software?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's totally dependent on who you are and what your needs are. Like, if you've
Okay.
got an in-house team of like 3, 4 people who you want to scale on LinkedIn, then
Hmm.
EasyGen, Ideogram, use the two, and you can create so much content in-house. Or you could outsource it, and you'll probably pay like tens of thousands of dollars to have the same impact. So I think it's very
Okay.
much dependent on your in-house capabilities as an organization.
True. Understood. So now let's just talk about your lead generation methods. Okay, lead generation, the clients, and like I've gone through your website, right? So
Hmm.
it's a kind of a course, right, that you're actually selling, if I'm not wrong, or the
Um,
service.
no, yeah, it's a content agency I run,
Okay.
LinkedIn. I have also recently launched a course, but that's probably what you've seen.
Okay. And you also have this content agency, like wherein you take care of your entire profile and you help them grow their LinkedIn account, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, exactly that.
Okay, awesome. And so, like, what was your primary lead generation process? Like, is it completely through LinkedIn, or like, what is it that you're using to get this sort of leads?
Yeah, it's all through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my landing page, and my profile is optimized in such a way now that I do get quite a few inbound leads. I don't do any cold emailing. The only bit of
Well,
emailing I do is my newsletter, which I haven't even started on a weekly basis, but I've got 2.5K subscribers on there. So that's a good base of like real devout, loyal fans. But
okay.
yeah, it's all through my content at the minute. Um, that's it, inbound.
Okay, so it's like purely inbound, purely from the content that you produce.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, that's pretty good, because in this current situation where everybody are running for leads, everybody are competing for this concentrated market, right? It's like very difficult just to rely on content. So that kind of shows like how well crafted content that you are actually producing. That's, good to know. And by the way, like when you've talked about your LinkedIn newsletter, even I think I was
Mm.
the one who repurposed your framework that you used to produce your LinkedIn newsletter.
Yeah, I
So I
remember.
think it was, yeah, there was quite a I think it was a very good prompt that you used to put it into Perplexity, and it
Mm,
gives you this exact format, and you
mm.
just, proofread it, and then you put it out there. So it was like as simple as like, have you stopped doing that, or like, is it, they're not more frequently doing it?
Yeah, I mean that prompt kind of was my first thing that brought me relevance. If I can say that, like people actually started noticing me, be like, "Whoa, like this guy actually kind of knows how to use AI for marketing. Like, fair play to him." Um, And
Okay.
yeah, I stopped doing the LinkedIn newsletter. I have 19K subscribers on there, which it's when I started at the start of the year, my target was 1K subscribers by the end of Q1, I think. So
Wow.
yeah, I know, smashed that goal. But the issue with LinkedIn newsletters is that you can't collect email addresses,
Yeah, very true.
and they get the worst engagement because of the content format. It's like in that horizontal
Mm,
tile, like an article format, rather than like the scroll stopping 1080 by 1350 pixel dimensions
exactly.
that we love. So yeah, I've stopped doing it because I just found it was too much work on top of the content schedule, and it didn't have the benefit. It just wasn't worth it. So I'm focusing my efforts more
True.
on my own um, channels, such as Substack, where I host my other newsletter, because I
Mm,
only need email addresses. And should LinkedIn go down one day, then I have email addresses. I
true.
can recover. I can launch on a new platform because I have
Very true.
loyal followers.
Very true, very true. And I think, by the way, I don't think LinkedIn kind of, focused much on newsletters, what I would say, because I think that's the way for them to, since LinkedIn was primarily focused on written content, right? I think they thought that LinkedIn newsletter would be a way for people to have this long form content right inside LinkedIn instead of going out, right? Like maybe, redirecting to Medium or anything like that. They wanted to have right inside LinkedIn. I think that's why they've launched this newsletter. I don't think they had like much importance given to LinkedIn newsletter, right?
Yeah, no, I mean LinkedIn generally suck at like, building this creator economy which is booming. And
Very
yeah,
true.
there's so much potential there with the newsletters. And I think it really appeals to those people who are maybe a little bit older. They
Hmm.
don't care so much about the follower growth, but they love
Mm,
sharing long form content. Like I
true.
see people write weekly newsletters who have been on LinkedIn since 2008, and they love it and it works for them. But for me, Charlie, who wants to grow very fast, it just wasn't worth it.
Okay, understood. And now, apart from this newsletter which you've hosted on Substack, do you also focus on building a closed community? Because now I think you would have noticed everybody have started building school community, right?
Yeah,
So, have you ever thought anything about that? Like, what do you think about this community building?
yeah. It's funny you asked that because I'm launching mine this Sunday
Wow,
on Substack. So
awesome.
yeah, I'm gonna enable paid newsletter on Substack, and what you'll get with that is access to like my WhatsApp community, and then also a course which is 3 hours long about
Okay,
how to win on LinkedIn.
awesome.
So it's really meant to like nurture those people who are like the most loyal and devout fans. And yeah, I'm starting that out. I'm going to do it for like $15 per month, um, and see where it takes me because yeah, I definitely have the audience to build a community, and I think it's a
Hmm.
great idea. The only thing with school is that I don't like the user experience. It's just a bit not optimal, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing is like I think with Substack we have an option for doing it for free, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, with that we cannot do it with school. Everybody have started launching their school community, but I think school community is a paid one. You have to pay for the specific tool to get your community growing. But I think we can use Substack for free and get it growing, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been doing this entire time. Like, I set up my Substack in April because I didn't really have a strategy. I just knew that I needed to collect email addresses.
Email. Okay.
Yeah, so I did a few like lead magnets, I can call them, but like when people requested a prompt in the CTA, like for example, my Perplexity newsletter prompt drove a ton of email subscribers just by people asking me for it. So that worked very well. Now
Okay.
I'm actually turning my head and thinking about like a solid newsletter strategy because that's the way how you really take it up the next or down a level in the marketing funnel. LinkedIn is the top of the funnel, newsletter is
Mm,
the middle of the funnel, and that's how you convert them because you can give more
understood.
value, more insights about
Mhm.
who we are.
Okay, got it. So is there any, I mean, like again, like when it comes to AI, right? So is there any other creators that you would say are doing extremely well with having a right strategy in terms of, using AI to write? I think Luke Matthews, if I'm not wrong, his name is Luke, right? Like he's also like more into AI now, if I'm not wrong. So apart from like, do you have any sort of creators who do you think is like really doing more about LinkedIn? I mean, like, they're trying to grow on LinkedIn using AI alone. Like, is there anyone? Because it would be good if people get to know them, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say Ruben first, but everybody probably knows him,
I
don't
mean,
they?
I totally forgot. Like, that's like I totally like I'm very bad in remembering names, so which is why I think I've been following him. Yeah, Ruben.
Of course, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, he's the big dog, and
very
yeah,
true.
I really look up to him. My good
Mm-hmm.
friend Noam Nisant,
Okay.
he's like a bit more AI sales.
Mm-hmm.
My good friend Audrey Chaya, she's like when I
Okay.
started on LinkedIn, I looked up to her.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing a webinar together in like a few weeks. So um,
Awesome.
yeah, no, it is a great feeling. And then Daniel Corenbloom, he's not like an AI creator, but that guy is hot stuff. So watch out. He's crushing it. He only posts 3 times a week, and he's got a great personal brand. And he definitely is
Awesome.
using AI to help write stuff, but not actually like speaking about it in his content.
Understood.
Yeah, those and Anna York for SEO. That's another person I've thrown to the ring. Like SEO has always been a bit of a mystery to me, so like it's super handy. Her stuff.
Okay, got it. So that was good. So okay. So is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of using AI or like any
Mm.
because now let's say if someone wanted to just get started with LinkedIn, they might be and maybe they wanted to use AI to enhance their process, right? And now currently, if they look at this AI, they have a lot of tools. I mean, I can just go on and on and on and on. So like, is
Hmm.
there any starting point that you would recommend that people to get started to use AI to grow their LinkedIn?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity,
Hmm.
um, Canva, V.io. I love video editing.
Okay.
Combining that with Screen Studio for like it's Screen Studio is really cool for doing video. How do you call
Recording. Yeah, exactly. I
it? Isn't
think
it?
I know like I've been looking at a few tools for me to also get in because as I feel like I'm more into this AI, no code automations and all right. So when I build out a workflow using any tool, I wanted to document that. Like I've been thinking like which is the right tool for me to use it. And even I think I came across Screen Studio. That's pretty good.
It's nuts. Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it for a long time, but I'd forked out for the one time subscription, and it's been well worth it. It was like $200, and
Exactly.
it's a great tool. The only other one is Ideogram, which I didn't mention. I don't think.
I mean, that's another great tool I would say. And like, where do you put Canva in this?
Oh, Canva's like top tier. Like Canva's like the staple.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is that so like how do you actually use this both ideogram and Canva? Like when it comes to generating using AI, you use ideogram, and when you wanted to do sort of a design, you go with Canva, correct?
Yeah, so there's kind of two approaches you can take. You can generate a striking graphic to put in the middle of your cheat sheet or infographic using Ideogram, or you can generate an entire cheat sheet infographic design,
Okay.
go over to Canva, remove the text from it because like
Hmm.
Ideogram is great at text rendering, but it doesn't
Very
always
true.
hit 100%, as that is a common problem with many AI image generators.
Very true.
Um, and then you can remove the text and then just do some text overlay, add icons in Canva. So I find they work very well, but like my process typically is just to stick with Canva. But it helps if you don't have the design skills because like vectors, icons used to be quite hard to generate. Ideogram, it makes it easy.
Okay, got it. So I think we've come to the end of the session. So I think it was a great one. Like, I've understood like what's the current landscape of LinkedIn, how videos playing out, and like how are you using this AI and all those things, right? And by the way, like, there's like one final question that I wanted to ask you. Now currently, like, are you focusing a bit more on technical stuff, like, fine tuning a model just to write it exactly in your tone of voice? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever gave a thought for that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think I had a very strong tone of voice to start with. I've never
Mm,
been the best copywriter, so AI actually helped me get better at
okay.
writing copy. So like, it's I honestly write more like AI now when I'm typing because of all the
Okay.
generations I've done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think yeah, it's different if you're like Luke Matthews, like you mentioned before. He has a very specific tone of voice, which is like a bit silly and playful. So yeah, I don't struggle too much. I mean, all I do is just provide as much context at the start of my prompt, and I do this
True.
with clients too. Just have
Okay.
like a paragraph as
Mm-hmm.
comprehensive as possible. Who you
Mm-hmm.
are, target audience, your business or service, what it does, and your tone of voice.
Okay. Got it. So I think that's it. Like, we've come to the end of a session. So is there anything that you would like to add, Charlie?
I'm not sure to be honest. No, I'm just it's all quite exciting. I don't know, like if we had this conversation 6 months from now, I don't know what we'd talk about instead, because AI agents, LinkedIn video feed, it's all kind of up in the air, isn't it?
Very true, very true. I mean, like if we get deep into AI, that's another sort of conversation that we have to have for another at least like an hour or so. So that
Yeah,
keeps going, right? So yeah, I think it's a pretty while. Everybody are getting into LinkedIn, and it's a lot of competition out there, a lot of concentration out there. So it's a bit difficult and exciting, is what I would say.
100% agreed on that one.
Yeah. So I think with this, guys, we've come to the end of the session. So I'll link down all the resources and LinkedIn profile of Charlie, like you can get to know him. And again, like he literally, I love the way he breaks down things, especially using his graphics. Like, I've been a fan of his graphics, although like I cannot create a graphic like him. Like I'm trying hard. Let's see like how does it go. But apart from that, like I'll just link down his give a link to his LinkedIn. You can just have a chat with him as well. Like, he's doing great. And if you are a business owner or someone who wanted to get your LinkedIn started, you can also reach out to Charlie.
Thanks, Anish.